So I'm Steve, aka BCee from Spearhead Records.
I'm Drew, aka Villem.
Sort of from Spearhead Records.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and together we have come up with the Vanguard project. And today we are going to take you through our process of working together. And the way we collaborate is probably quite different to how some people work together. So we are going to start from scratch and hopefully by the end of this tutorial have more or less a full track. So we thought we'd take you through our working process. We work on a track at the same time from two different machines, from two different DAWs. I use Ableton and Drew Villem uses Logic. So we just thought we'd take you today what that process looks like, how we can quickly pull a track together. We finish a track most weeks in a day, and as productive as we can be. We've both got families, so we want to just crack on with it as much as we can around fitting everything else in, which is a good driving force to get stuff done. So most of our tracks are going to be about vibe rather than super sound design, and we just want to really let you into that kind of trick today. So we've started something this morning just before filming, and we're going to take you through the process of where we've got up to with that. So I usually start off in Ableton. So what you'll see on my screen here is that I've just started to put a beat together, and I've got a little loop here, and that's where we're going to start from today. So I started off with just this break today. Now all of this stuff, none of this I've made from scratch. This is all breaks from sample packs or from old tracks or stuff I've put together a while ago, and then we've just built it up. Now for the sake of that they're only sample pack samples, I don't need to show you how to make all of them. You can just go and find them yourselves. I'm just going to go through how that they're built up. So if I just play you this audio track 2 here, that's our solid break. I've then layered it up with this, and I'll just flick through the others. A little bit of tops on the rides, more tops, more tops, more tops, and more tops really. Shakers, extra snare. This is from like a dub reggae sample pack. I think this is a breakage pack, jungle tambourines. I think this is breakage as well. Tiny shaker. And this percussion is like dub ammo, I think it's called. So, you know, stuff that you can just get from one of many popular sample-based websites. If we put them all together, what I'll often do here, just in Ableton quickly, is add a compressor onto that just to tighten it up a bit. And Ableton's got this fantastic mixed gel compressor that's really simple, that just tightens all that up a bit. I've put all of that into one group as it is, and then we've got a nice solid beat, which is a good starting place for a track. In drum and bass, the drums are quite important. So what I'll do at this point is I will just now save all of that stuff to Dropbox. So I'll just do an export of that, and export all the individual tracks over to our Dropbox. You'll see some funny name stuff in here. We never know what to call tracks. If you get stuck on that as well, you'll see we've got Banger Time, Man Hoovers, The Cat's Beard, Man Flu, Brethren, Egg and Spoon. So some very interesting ones. This one is aptly named Banger Time. So I've done it already, but I would just then save the whole lot into there and then send that over to Drew for him to start working on the beat. Once he's got that, let me just open up one I saved earlier on. Again, most of these sounds are from sample packs. I've just now added, what have we got here? Let's close that group down. So I have added here, started to now add here a few more sounds. So if I turn all these off.
You've generally always got a vibe going. You get a beat and then you'll get like some melodic stuff before I even see it.
Yeah, before you, yeah. And we'll get, we want to do a banger, not make something too musical. I tend to make some put too much stuff in and make it too musical. But we wanted this one to be a bit of a dancey sort of thing. So I've just started to build up, again, sample pack samples that fit. So we've got this squeal thing in there. Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. We've got this eerie sound in there. Crickets.
The thing is, you might
wind
call it
downs. I mean, I call them all sorts of names.
You might call it banger time, but you might end up it being not banger time and end up being like a musical one. But like the sort of initial sort of tune name doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up like that, does it?
No, we just get stuck with names. There's my whizzer. I'll just show you all of the bits that are in here so far. An effects thing, and I've just spent, you know, about half an hour this morning just going through getting samples to look fit together for the vibe we want to create for this. I'll play you that one. And the final one that's here at the moment. And I've put at the moment the only processing on that whole thing is the compressor on the beat. I won't do that much processing here in my quick processor putting together a track, because we want to do that in Logic over on Drew's computer once we've got access to everything. So if I just stick all of them sounds in, you can have a listen to my loop, which now sounds like this. Which is a good starting place for me to now send that over via Dropbox to Drew. So again, I'll just go into Ableton, export all individual track. Actually, I only want selected tracks only. I've got them all selected here, and export them into the Dropbox, where they will magically go over to Drew, and I'll hand over to you to take it from there.
Yeah. So once Steve sent all the individual tracks over via Dropbox, they'll just appear in here, and I'll just take all of those, drag and drop into Logic, and the first thing I'll do is select all the tracks and just bring the channels down by like 10 dB. So I just want loads and loads of headroom. I don't want everything like sort of hitting quite hard. I find just doing that just really helps in terms of sort of not getting too distorted on your master bus. And then I'll bring all the levels back up using mastering. So that's sort of the first thing I'll do. So then I'll start trying to sort of think of what sort of bass line. 9 times out of 10, Steve will come with the vibes. Then I'll get a bass line in and then fire it back to Steve. And then Steve will get sort of more samples and back to me, and we'll go backwards and forwards like that. So just having a look here, all from here downwards up to there, that's all sort of Steve's original samples. Now I'll sort of beef the break with some of my own sort of pre-made breaks that are available on my sample packs. A little bit of
Quick plug.
Buy my sample packs if you want these beats. But so these are kind of pre-made beats that me and McLeod have made. And I use my own sample pack beats. I mean, I don't know if everyone does that, but they're really solid. So if I just solo all the drums, maybe there's a few more. So that's kind of like Steve's original beat, with a few things kind of taken out at the moment. And I just wanted to give it just a little bit more sort of beef. Just wanted a bit more punch and just a bit more weight to it. And a lot of that's coming from this break here. This break I literally use so many times, probably like 8 out of 10 tracks. I'll probably put that beat in there, and just gives it punch on the kick, punch on the snare. It's just one of them beats that I made that just seems to go in every single track, just because it's got all the right frequencies.
He's not lazy.
If I find something that works, I'll just rinse it.
I think it's good to say as well, like the way that we do all of our beats, when it's like a lot of sample based beats and you're not kind of super processing all your kicks and snares, we get loads and loads of layer after layer of breaks, percussion, fills, tops, and like when it sounds full, stick another one in there. True. Really. And so often like a break might sound quite good, but it's just missing that kind of top end, so we'll make sure that we find another loop just to bring the tops out. So for me, one of the keys to using sample based, like sample pack stuff to build your breaks from is getting a lot in there, and then just using your processing just to really pull them apart a bit.
Definitely, yeah. I think because once you start, you think you've got a nice beat, and then you start putting all the other samples on top, and suddenly that beat just doesn't seem as good anymore.
Yeah. And
then you've kind of got to bring it back up to fill up the mix.
And from the perspective of a label owner, for me looking for tracks, I know that a lot of the time I get really good musical tracks, but the focus has shifted from what makes drum and bass, which is the drums and the bass.
Yeah, so I've got these 3 extra beats on top of Steve's beat just to really sort of fill it out. And that just fills up the mix. And so from there, we kind of wanted to get some bassline ideas in. With basslines, I'll tend to get, where's the original? This is the original one. I'll tend to get a synth up, and I'll start jamming on the keyboard a bassline. So I've got a very sort of basic skeleton bassline, which is this one. You know,
and that's from the Hive synth, right,
yeah,
Drew?
That's from the Hive, yeah, that's from the Hive synth.
Get that sucker up.
Wicked little synth. All the Yuhi stuff I really like, the Diva and the Hive, they're all just great little synths. So yeah, it sounds sort of quite basic on its own, but I just like to get the notes that are kind of feeling nice with all the other elements in the tune, with a basic synth, and then we start layering on top of that. If we just go into the MIDI here, so yeah, it's pretty simple really. Starts off on a sort of E flat up to an F, and then a little flourish here. So it's not, you don't want it moving around too much, I think, in drum and bass. You just want it to be fairly steady. You've got to find that sweet spot there. I think it's difficult to find the sweet spot.
Let's have a listen to that then.
Yeah. Should we just solo it?
Yeah, and then with the track.
So yeah, it sounds all right on its own. It sounds a little bit shit, to be honest. But when you kind of get other layers on, then it starts. Yeah, I'm sort of using it for like a certain weight. Also got a tremolator on there. This thing we use a lot. This kind of input gain here, I think, is really sweet, because if I take the tremolator off, it kind of sounds like that, and with the sort of the input pushed a bit, it sort of doesn't sound any different, but it sounds subtly different. There's a little subtle kind of distortion to it.
I think it's fair to say, Drew, if you get that tremolator back up as well,
yeah,
that is one of the Vanguard project weapons of choice.
Definitely.
So we use this for loads and loads of stuff, for vocal effects, for bass lines. If you've heard any of our tracks which have got the kind of real choppy kind of vocal sounding, it's the tremolator that has been used for all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the tremolator basically, it's really just a volume envelope, and it just makes the volume just do that. You couldn't really hear it that much because the depth wasn't that high, but if I jack the depth up to there, you can hear what it's doing. So that's what it's doing. But I just had it subtly. I didn't want it to be wobbling too hard. So once I had that basic skeleton of the bass line, I then started using the virus and pulled down the bass line onto the virus MIDI output, and then just started scanning through the different presets on the virus to see if anything sounded good, and kind of came across this one. So it gives it some more texture, basically. You can hear it in the mix. Yeah, so it's just sort of adding texture, a bit like the beats. You kind of want to stack up your different bass noises, so it's sounded thicker and it's got more interest to it. And same with this one. This is another bass layer, another hive, and it's just giving it a little bit of punch at the start of the bass line.
And is that just a preset on the hive, Drew?
Yeah. Nothing sort of too magical going on there. It's just a preset with all the bass rolled off. So we're just getting that sort of top end punch, more tremolators. Again, it's pretty subtle, but it's just stacking up the bass notes basically.
Okay, so Drew's got a bass line together just to get us started. That might change later on in the track as we go along, but particularly when you're trying to make drum and bass, which is a little bit more slamming, but with that musical edge still, you need to get your bass line in quite early on. Otherwise, you know, you've got nothing to work to and it becomes super musical and too kind of airy-fairy, and there's no real drive to it. So looking at my screen here, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take all of the sounds that I've already got in there, and I'm just going to stick them into a group so that I know what I'm doing. So as you can see, there's quite a bit in there already, and I'll just put them up there. So at the moment, that's what I had before, but now Drew has just sent me back in my Dropbox here. What's it called? Banger Times. There we go. And somewhere here is TVP Banger Time MP3. I'm just going to stick that in there. Come on, baby. And then all of a sudden we've changed that over to that. So I'll just mute them channels for the moment, and then I'm going to work with this, which I'm just going to boost up a bit there so I can hear it, unwarp it so it's definitely the right speed. And also weirdly, when you get a lot of these exports, you'll find that the cutoff of it isn't, like the first beat isn't actually right at the very start. So it's quite important just to go in and just cut that so that the beat is actually on the beat. Otherwise, when I start sending stuff to Drew back to him again, everything's going to be slightly out of time and he's going to be wondering what on earth's going on. So it is important, especially when collabing like this, that you kind of keep everything fairly tight. So just by copy and pasting that over there, in theory that should be a good loop now. Okay, there we go. So I've already found some bits for this. So and because we were working on this one earlier, so I found some things like this trance ARP here. So I'll drag that straight in. Again, that was just from a sample pack. Some of these bits I continually will use SoundForge to just sample stuff all of the time. Stuff from sources that I'm meant to, and stuff from other sources, and just use whatever sounds we can to manipulate. I don't want to say too much about that. Some of these we've got like a Moog stab here. I found a little, let's take the one without delay. So I've got the Go stab there like I found earlier, Hammond organ like I found earlier, Love Vox found earlier on, which needs a new channel. I think I've just deleted it, that's not very good. So we'll just do Command T to make a new channel.
And you always leave your samples dry, don't you? Don't put reverb or delay. You leave that for me to do.
The majority
so
of the time.
I've got more freedom to manipulate it.
And I think I've just lost the Love Vox. Oh no, there we go. So all of this lot, because I've used it already, should be in the right place. But I'll show you my process for quickly finding samples in a moment, because having a good organised library helps to work at this kind of quicker pace. So like I have already shown you, we've got the looplet Drew's added bass to there, and I'll turn these on as we go along. So here's this one I found called Trance Arp, and I've chopped that up a little bit just to add something to the background. A bit loud, so I'll turn it down a bit. And then we've got a little stab thing here. Actually sounds ridiculous.
But a bit of reverb on now.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that one for the moment. What was this one? Ah, this is... Okay, so that's just a little chop at the middle of something, which sounds a bit weird on its own. So this one I have given you with effects on. So that's just got the, again, a standard Ableton thing. Just this ping pong delay onto there. Comes up down here, and we'll put that over there somewhere. Mostly dry.
And you'll just tend to just stack and just keep going, and you'll give me not all of it I can use, but you're just kind of feeding me like almost like a sample pack.
What do you mean not all of it you can use?
No, some of it
I'm like gold. I'm like a gold mine.
So some of it's shit, but no, most of it is like spot on.
All of it. So yeah, we're gonna get the Go samples now. Got the delay on it. So if I put that in with what we've already got, you can see the tracks building up nicely. If I turn it on, try that again. And then the other thing is you kind of have to adjust your way of thinking a little bit working like this. So I'm not overthinking the arrangement. I'm kind of thinking, I know that this sound will sound good somewhere in the track. So we might make a loop with like 50 different sounds in, like actually when the track's running and it's finally arranged, there's only 10 of them sounds working together at once. I just want to get things that are going to fit together and that I know are going to sound cool. So this next sound, this organ sound that I found, would sound ridiculous running through the track, but I can picture that already working towards the end of the track before the breakdown. Found this nice Hammond organ, which goes like this. And again, kind of sounds weird on its own.
I just love that shimmer. It's nice.
It's already got a tremolo. Take Me to Church. Right, so we put that in as well. And I know that this is going to come in useful later on. And then we want a little vocal sample or something in there, so I flick through loads of samples. And the great thing with Ableton is it automatically time stretches stuff pretty accurately. And then if it doesn't quite fit, you can just go into the warp markers down here, mark them wherever you want, and stretch stuff out as much or as little as you want. So I found this little vocal, which is only roughly in there at the moment. But I can use this just to stretch that out wherever I want. This will sound stupid, but if I stretch that out that far for argument's sake. So you can, working with samples in Ableton is amazing because of this warp markers thing. So again, if we look at that I Need Love section there, I can zoom in as much as I want on there, mark that wherever I want. Stretch that word love out a bit more. So you can change the whole way it phrases. If it's not in the right key, you can transpose it as well, and it still retains the same warp markers. We'll put that back up to where it was. And it just gives you so much flexibility with samples. That actually sounded okay. And now we'll come back to this, but one of the ways I really quickly find samples is that we use a piece of software called Mixed in Key, which is used for really DJ purposes. And I'll load that up for you. So this is Mixed in Key, and it's mainly used for just, come on, if it's going to work. It's mainly used for just browsing your track collection and using what they call the Camelot mixing system, which I'll show you here if you look on this tutorial. Harmonic Mixing 101, puts the keys with a number of what will kind of work together. So I've actually sorted my samples by using mixed in key. I am not musically trained in any way, shape or form. It's all kind of ear to me and working out what I've done wrong and what kind of sounds right and wrong. So this track, I know that all of these samples so far are in my 4A selection, which this tells me should in theory be F minor. And so I can work out from that if I need to change the pitch of a sample, how many semitones to move that, or if I want to find other samples just directly in that key. They don't all work, but it's a really quick and easy way to find stuff. So for example, and I haven't found anything earlier for this, if I make a new track here, and if I just put 4A in my search box in Ableton here, I've got all of this stuff here. So like sample packs October 2015. Let's go for this one because it's a drum and bass one, and let's go for there's nothing musical come up. Let's go for melodic vibes, ambience, and it will show me some samples there that in theory are the same key. I wanted to get something a bit more musical. Let's try melodic loops. Okay, let's try that one. So I'll just try dropping some of these sounds in. Okay, so that could work with a little bit of choppage. So if I put that in here, well, I now check what that sounds like on its own. Okay, kind of just repeating, so I'll take that bit. I always just tend to see what things sound like backwards on everything, just because sometimes you hit magic. Okay, and I kind of like that on its own, perhaps. And then maybe even not the whole thing. So let's take that a bit shorter. I'm going to cut that there. And then I think that might sound good somewhere like at the end of a bar. Let's try it over here. It's in the wrong place. Might sound ridiculous now, but we'll have a go. We'll turn it down a bit. Yeah, that absolutely doesn't work in the slightest. So let's try something else.
But
and we'll just forget that one.
That like method when you showed me that for writing like musical drum and bass, that's absolute gold. Just being able to take all of your samples and just get everything that's in tune with your tune just saves so much time. Like before, you'd just be searching through different samples. It would just take such a long time before you could find something that was in tune. So
these samples are gold. I guarantee you one of these will work without even listening to it.
Big talk.
So there we go. Straight away, a little guitar twang.
That was nice.
A little gurgle sound. Not so much. Let's try something in this folder. So, you know, we might not want to use any of them in the finished thing, but straight away there I found 3 potential sounds. Just to start working into the project. So I spend, although we only like really work together a day a week, I will spend absolutely ages and ages at home in the evening or in my studio in the day or whatever, making new samples, finding good sample packs and hunting through them for the gold, organising them, so it does make it quicker and easier when we're together to find stuff. Sample packs are great. You kind of sometimes have to really dig to find what you're looking for, so I'll just kind of do that at home, delete all the bits that are rubbish, and it just helps us to have quite a fast process and really just capture the vibe that we're going for. So I've already deleted all the stuff that I think hasn't got that thing that attracts me to it. So more and more my sample collection as it grows is stuff that I know I want to use at some point and just carries a little vibe, for want of a better word.
Sure.
So I've found some extra stuff. I've chucked that back to Drew, and we're going to go on from there.
Yeah. I mean, while Steve's doing all of that, I'm not sitting here doing nothing. I'm literally sort of building the tune whilst he's doing that. So we're literally working at twice the pace as if we were together just on one computer. We're literally, so Steve's sampling, finding loads of different new samples. And whilst he was doing that, I'd probably be sort of trying to work on the beat, trying to make the beat a bit better. But we've kind of got the beat, we've got a lot of different noises now. And I think once we've got the bass line, I'm going to start thinking about the arrange, trying to sort of build an intro, and then get a feel for if the bass line's working on the drop. Because I think once you build an intro, and then you let it drop with the bass, sometimes the bass just it seems it's not the one. So I'm going to do that now and build a quick intro. So at the moment we've got every single noise is happening at the same time at the moment. Now we just want to, obviously in the intro you want to strip it back. So I'd probably just repeat this whole 32 bars here, get rid of all the bass. This is all bass here, and just for the purposes of the video, I'll just make the drop at 33. I'd
strip out some of them beats as well at the start.
Yeah, probably keep the beat a bit more sort of chilled. So move these up to here.
That snare stuff.
That's it, yeah. So yeah, keep it quite stripped back and let it build up. Okay, we don't want too much bass in there because we want it to build up. And then we kind of, I mean, I feel like we kind of need sort of more of an intro sort of main sample, don't you think? Like it's quite stripped back.
Yeah, we'll have a look for some stuff in a few minutes.
Because even that organ, I know we said to have it in the middle, but you could use that for
try that.
For like a little build.
I think maybe put a filter on it.
Yeah, kind of sweep it up, okay.
Well, I just take off all the tops a bit, muffle it a bit. And then hold it as it drops.
Okie dokie. So I'm just going to drop the beats out just before the bass, just to give you an idea that something's going to happen. Like, so the bass is going to come in. Just going to use the marquee tool here and just chop out the last bar. Yeah. So that just gives you a little breather. It's like telling you something's going to happen. Going to save it. You've got to save all the time. So I'm just going to use an EQ just so we can bring in this Hammond organ a bit more subtly. And what I'm doing here is just automating this high cut. So it just opens out more. So the sound starts off muffled and then it just gets sort of wider and wider.
What was that? Ooh. Lose that. Get rid of them for the minute.
So just by doing that very simple intro, I can already feel that the drops kind of, I don't think it's necessarily the bass, I think it's like the pace of the beats. It kind of feels like it needs to be a bit more sort of going for it.
Why don't you as well use one of them vocals and try putting a bit of tremolo on it?
Tremolo.
Tremolo, I mean. Yeah, not it's one of my Delisms, mate.
Tremolo, I like it.
The other day I also used the word pleurisy instead of plagiarism at completely the wrong place. Idiot.
Maybe a bit quicker.
Can you get the old love, love, love?
So yeah, you can use the tremolo like that. When we tend to use that as a variation, so we'll leave it sort of clean without the tremolo on, just like that, and then maybe the second pass of the vocal, we'll put the tremolo on. It just breaks it up a bit, so you're not just hearing the same sample twice.
Okay, so I've just found some extra samples to try and work into this track. And I think the thing is, we are looking here about doing a track kind of quickly, but we can only do that, and I can't emphasize this enough, because of the amount of time kind of in preparation on our own. So for me to find all of these samples, one of the things I'll do is go to a charity shop and just rinse out their collection of CD albums that are 50p each, take them home, and then and it's the most boring thing. I find it so boring to make samples. I'm not somebody that thinks this is going to be fun, but I know if I spend 50 quid on CDs from a charity shop, spend the next month of every spare minute just kind of sampling a little bit of a clean guitar, a little clean break. I mean, we've got, shouldn't really say too many of the sources of these samples, but I will tell you that some of our best drum fills have been from a Chaz and Dave album that I found in the Cancer Research Shop. You can't get hold of that stuff otherwise. But they only exist. We've only managed to get them because of the flipping hours I've spent going through that stuff, and then just take the CDs back to the charity shop afterwards, and everyone's a winner. So I've just found some more bits now to trying this track. So I've just got another percussive tambourine layer, which is just from a Breakage sample pack, which is there, and then from a Submotion orchestra sample pack, I've taken, I'll show you the original sample actually. So if I put that over here, great thing in Ableton is I can just drag that back out. So I've taken this synth, and I've just slightly chopped that up and rearranged it to get this. And then later on here. And now that's completely dry, hence the cut off, but I'll let Drew take care of sorting that out when we hear that in with everything else. If I just turn back on. And then I've got this thing here, which was from one of my charity shop CDs. We won't talk too much about that. It's a little kind of very weird sound. The original sound, again, if I just drag that out, sounds like this. Can hear a little vocal thing in there. I've just chopped that down again to make this, which we'll probably only use a few times. Put that in the track, turn the channel on, and it sounds something like this. Just adds a little energy, adds a little drive to it. And I'm going to hand that back over to Drew to get that into some sort of arrangement.
Yeah, so Steve's made some more samples. He's fired them back over in Dropbox, and he'll be doing that constantly. Whilst I'm building the track, he'll be doing that all the time. And I'll start implementing them into the tune. So yeah, I really like this Lopez loop. It just, like Steve said, is giving it a drive to it.
Wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
George Lopez.
So I'm just kind of listening to see how it's dropping and sort of how it's feeling on the drop, and to see if the bass line is kind of doing the right sort of thing, really. I mean, what do you think, Steve? Do you think it sounds all right?
Yeah, I think it sounds all right, yeah. But I think the organ should come back in.
Oh yeah?
It sounds a bit weird to stop there.
Okay.
We need to just carry it through somehow, I think.
That's quite nice, just having like a muffled version, so
Yeah.
you got a feeling of it there, but it's
And
not
you could just
dominating
repeat the
mix.
first half of that. Don't let it change. Just loop up
Just
the
have
first half.
the first
Yeah.
chord sort of bit, okay. Let's give it a bit of that. That's just to stop it from clipping, because like when you chop into a sample, sometimes it gets these sort of big clicks. So a bit of fade in and out. So I'm kind of thinking maybe just wait for the bass to come in here, give a bit more of an intro, let that Lopez loop come in,
Okay.
build the kind of tension a bit. Take out this beat edit here, let it roll through.
Let that kind of one bass sound through, yeah? The one with all the one which has got the bottom end removed.
Yeah. So leave a bit of the tone in there, so it's kind of sort of it's giving you a little introduction to the bass. Chop out another edit.
Then kick in there.
Yeah, I'm thinking doing this though, and maybe saving that till then.
Yeah, cool.
Use that as a sort of main.
Then the bass kicking
Bring
in
back
there.
the yeah.
Move all that vocal back a bit. And then I think break that up so that we only get little bits and only tightening as well.
What, on the vocal?
Yeah, just from there, but like they were just 4 usable bits, but we don't necessarily want them all together like that.
Okey-doke.
Or you can sack off. Anything you do like that, Drew, just talk about it whilst you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, is it dropping on the right note? Because sometimes when the bass drops, it doesn't feel like it's dropping. It's almost like it's not dropping on the root note of the tune. I think you said it was in 4A, which is like F minor.
Yeah.
And if you sort of drop it not on the F, it doesn't really, it hasn't got that kind of like drop feeling to it. And that's kind of what I'm feeling from it. I'm like, the bass is coming in, but I'm not feeling like it's like complete,
Yeah,
if you know
let's
what I mean.
adjust that then. So we're going to balls up the virus.
Yeah, it might do. I think we just have to roll with it for now.
Come on.
Sounds alright.
Yeah, let's just roll through to it again. ain't got to be a killer tune, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just finish it. Just get it sort of rolling.
I don't know, I kind of
That's
prefer
pretty cool.
without the Hammond, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of just feels like it's sort of got a bit more of a drop to it.
It's in a different place now, isn't it? Yeah, that's wicked.
That's nice. Yeah.
It's too bright.
Quite loud at the moment.
Take the tops off it a bit so it's a bit more filled.
To your point, as you were saying, how we just keep chipping away at it, it's like every tune kind of starts kind of crap in a way, and then you just build and build and build and build until it becomes more of a tune, because it all starts off very, very simple and very sort of skeleton. So I think a lot of people, when they're sort of, for me it was when I was first trying to learn how to write music, you didn't know how far you had to keep going to keep chipping away. You just kind of got it to a point, and then you, it's not good enough. But you don't realise you have to just keep going, adding more samples, more beats. So Stevie suggested just rolling off the tops here.
Yeah.
A bit too much.
That's good,
About
mate.
there.
So it's quite muffled.
Just sort of like muffling it just gives it a deeper vibe. It kind of just makes it a bit smoother, and it sort of fits in the mix in a more of a dubby way, I think.
So we can roll that out for a bit.
Yeah.
And then what about just a sort of 65 there, just before that, just taking the drums out and letting it quick edit with the high bass.
Okay. Defo. Probably about there or there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now, I'm just lining up the marker to where a bass sort of hits, and then that gives me the place to chop out all the beats. So you know, so the bass comes in, the beats drop out, and it makes it feel like it's all connected in some way.
Just play that little edit then, Drew.
So I'll get rid of the Lopez bit as well.
And get rid of the fill, I think.
So to me it sounds a bit too dry. It's like
Yeah.
sort of too much has come out. So you could, I mean, sometimes I like to just get a little delay on one of the break layers. And I'm just putting a delay on a send or a bus.
This H delay is another favourite. That's the
Yeah.
sort of go-to delay.
Yeah, I
plugin.
just use this every single time. So sometimes I'll just leave the first preset that's come up, I'll just leave that. And I'm just going to use a bit of automation just to catch the end of the break. Okie doke. Sounds not quite what I want at the moment. I'm just going to catch less of the break. I'm going to use this as a high pass filter, so it takes off the low end, so you don't hear the kick drum going as much, and also just add a bit of reverb to the delay. Yeah, it's starting to get there now. Still like it a bit more. So that just fills up the space a little bit. That's all, literally probably all you need, just so it doesn't sound completely dry. Yeah. I mean, it's very simple techniques, really, but it just does the job.
So I think that vocal is a good place for it to come in, but there's like 4 clips there, so that probably one of them other ones might be better in that position.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, have a listen to the other 4, the other 3.
Try this one.
Nah, that I'm in Love is the, what's the last one there though? Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, let's just get them positioned
that's
nicely
the one that
then.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does definitely. Just might need stretching or something.
Are you thinking it's too slow?
Love sounds like it comes in a bit too quick.
Too quick. Kind of wants us to hit about there, is that right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, yeah, I see what you mean, it's coming a bit early.
So it's just a timing issue to sort out on the vocal sample.
What sometimes I do is just chop like that and then stretch.
Stretch and relax. That's it.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's better. That's tight now.
Wicked.
And then perhaps get that next bit about where you just stopped it there. Sounds like where it should sort of naturally come in. I just spread them out so that you had room to play, but I would bring that in where the marker is. Ish.
About here?
Yeah.
I think that's the same, no, is it? Maybe here.
Yeah. That sounds a bit quick, that one. The oh yes sounds a little bit quick. Sounds like the O should be a bit longer, if you know what I mean.
Okie dokie. Let's try and sort it. Which bit?
The word yes should hit slightly later.
I can't hear a yes. Which
Oh
bit?
yes sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear that. That's weird. It does look like it could be a bit tighter. Slower, quicker?
I think the yes should be moved to the right. But it's probably
about there. Sounds alright.
cool. Yeah, let's go for the next one. The can then comes in too soon, but too late. Only love can save me should be a bit.
Okey-dokey.
Can you hear the
Snappy,
can? The
yeah,
can.
Yeah, I can hear the can. Yeah, all this feels a bit slow.
Yeah. So again, just tightening it up.
Maybe quicker.
Too choppy. So it's got to be in a bit though.
Yeah, a bit tighter.
Yeah. Can you make the first bit a bit shorter, so stretch that back? Because it's just missing the end of the word before it.
This one?
Yeah. So just push in the love to the left effectively.
If I do that and just
tighten that up.
Maybe to...
And now you can move
you can hear
forwards.
The love.
But that can is too late.
Yeah, want to hear? Okay, that sounds more snapped in. That's better.
Better, yeah.
We'll come back to it.
One more to go. I would lose the word now. Just have I need you. I need you. Oh, the U sounds weird. Maybe it needs to have that word now on it.
Leave it in there.
Just the now needs to come tighter.
So when we're chopping and then we're moving this U back to the left, instead of just sort of leaving this one as it was, which was like this, time stretch it back in, and then you get the whole phrase.
Time shrink it?
Yeah. yeah, time shrink it, yeah. So then you can hear all the words, otherwise it will kind of need you.
And I think we need to do the same with the word now though. I need you. Now.
Seems alright.
Yeah, okay. I think actually the word now sounds slightly out of tune, but we'll worry about that later.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's just something's dropping out here. Not sure what. Yeah, so I just got to sort this out. It's just where I've looped it over.
That was me.
Sorted that.
So I think,
especially
for the purposes of time and finishing this off, should try doing a tremolo on that vocal and repeat it, do a breakdown, and more or less copy and paste it to roll it out, just so that feels like we've actually closed it off.
Yeah. Right for that.
Because we can come back to this and fanny about it another day.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I've just copied down the vocal to our sort of previously mentioned tremolo channel.
Where is it?
It's in the wrong spot. What do you reckon? Like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, maybe
perhaps
not
don't
all
do
of
the
them.
rest of it, just do some I Need Loves like it, yeah.
Keep it simple.
And maybe alternate what it does.
just thinking we'll probably like drop out this Lopez thing maybe.
Yeah.
I know though, that's the whole drive I think. Kind of just need that in there. Did make these chords out of Virus earlier.
Breakdown, innit?
Yeah, could use that as the breakdown.
I'd say use that as the breakdown, yeah.
Is that chord,
then come back
is that
in.
chord a bit crazy?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it'll probably work on its own.
Well, we could maybe say use just that front chord.
Okay. What happened there?
Loop that over. What do you reckon? Just no beats?
Yeah, just
strip
roll
it out.
mate. Roll it out. Sounds pretty cool.
So I'm just going to use some more delay just to help this transition.
Yep.
But with a different step, so it's going to be a bit slower. Yeah, so just automating the delay send. So that, you know, it's just simple, but it really helps the transitions.
Sounds good, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably just let it go on a bit further. So just using this feedback, just jack that up. So it's quite nice with the bass, because as the chords change, the bass stay the same, but
Yeah.
you couldn't get a nice sort of feel to it. But I was just thinking we could roll off the tone of the bass.
Okay.
So bounce that. So that's now in audio. So I'm just looping it up there. And just going to use some automation, so the EQ will just roll off the tops of the bass, so the tone will just become more of a subby tone. Yeah, because there's not a lot going on, it's kind of, didn't really want to hear that sort of nasally tone to the bass, so now it's just more sort of dubby.
So let's build it back up.
Yeah, so we're just going to break it down and build it back up. So
I think that kind of go could work before it kicks back in.
yeah, what, sort of using it. What, using it in a different place to where it is normally?
No, not necessarily.
So I'm thinking, just because this chord is pretty weird, I think,
Yeah.
but it sounds good, but maybe just don't.
Just do it and then let it drop back in then, mate.
What do you mean?
Just have that chord and then just let the track drop back in after it.
Well, what I was thinking is just have that chord once here,
Okay, cool.
and then,
Yeah, then
before
loop
the
that.
drop, just kind of just let everything hang for a bit, so you
Yeah.
don't get that fourth chord.
Okay, wicked.
So I was thinking, drag this down to a new channel, stick a bit of delay on there. This time I'm just putting it straight on the noise. There's no really method to the madness.
Oh. There's a lot of clicking in there.
Yeah, I saw that. So it just gives it a bit of space just to let things come down before, and it makes the drop then feel a bit more sort of weighty that way.
Yeah.
To be honest, we probably need to add a few more textures just to fill it up, because we've just got these one sort of chord sample, not chord sample, chord synth that we recorded from the virus. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to try and roll it out and get a full track. This button here, repeat section, literally just takes everything and just repeats it. So I'm just having a listen to see if we can do anything different on the second drop, or whether we can just roll out the same. I mean, we could just try and jazz up the bass line in the second drop.
Yeah, just switch it up a bit.
It's very simple sort of ideas, really. You can just do stuff like this. Because the virus is bouncing audio, we're going to have to do some jiggery pokery, but
yeah, just roll it out without the virus
the
bit for the
virus.
start, yeah, and
Yeah,
then bring
just-
that back in. There's way of switching.
so just moving notes around till something good happens, basically. That's quite nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes, this is a good little trick, really, just to have a slight variation on the bass line. Just use the same notes as you've used before, but just in a different order.
Do like 16 bars of that or 32 and then go back
And then
to
go
the
back
other
to the
bass.
original one. Pretty simple, but it just gives you a little rest from the bass. Just takes you away and sort of brings you back to the original bass line.
Why don't you take that second part there, which was the breakdown, and turn that into an outro, and then we can just have a listen through to what potentially is a tune with just a bit more work later on.
Okie dokie. Say that again. Sorry, I was just.
So if you
Starting to-
change, you've taken what's our breakdown is at the moment the
Yeah.
outro. Why don't
Yeah.
you change that outro so it is an outro,
Yeah.
and then
I'm
I
with
know
you.
it'd need more work, but then we've got something we can play all the way through.
Okie dokie.
That is essentially a track.
So I'll probably just use that same chord, but instead of going into the full kind of breakdown 4-chord change, which is, I don't know, sort of an outro, you don't want too much going on, you just want everything just to kind of sort of die down and less and less to happen, rather than sort of going into this sort of more melodic thing. Probably take the bass out.
Quite liked it in.
Yeah, he's quite enjoying that. I was thinking,
Maybe just change it so it then holds on one note. And then here it goes da-da-da. Just sits on it.
I mean,
because it's audio, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. I think what we'll do, we'll just use a bit more automation and just make it disappear.
Yeah.
Just getting rid of some clicks. So we'll probably just need, I mean the Hammond's only been used once in the intro. Could use that there. I don't know if it's going to work with these mad chords though. Give it a go.
I wouldn't worry about it because I'm just very conscious of time, Drew.
Yeah.
I think we should take it out, give this so we can give it a play all the way through.
Okay. Quite nice though.
Yeah, that's it. Turns out it works. But cool. It's dry when it just drops out. Don't let it do the. Cut it off before that. Can you just loop the bit before it?
Yeah.
You can't just do a quick reverse on that middle section, can you? Oh, you done? Oh.
Sounds a bit shit. Okay, well, it's all good. I reckon just leave it as that, and so I'm just fading it out, and then I was thinking just automate the reverb. So as it disappears, the reverb kind of comes in a bit heavier. Not bad, but I think we'd probably work on that a bit more. But for the purposes of the
let's have a look. I mean, so this didn't exist at 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
So what? 3.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
So shall we roll this through from the top and just sit back and have a listen?
I mean, considering we're not working together, because like normally you'd be doing stuff and I'd be doing stuff, and it'd go even quicker than this.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting here sort of working in a different way almost, but. So I probably just want a bit more to happen, like a build up or something, or
there's no kind of real effects in there or any sort of or any funky stuff.
Sounds just a bit static, like nothing's happening.
So we're a little way off what we'd want to do before we would release something like this, but this just gives, I think, people a good insight into putting something together. Yeah.
But I think it's important to get the track fleshed out into 5 minutes. and then go back, because as soon as you go back it tells you everything that's happening. If you get bogged down in like an 8-bar loop, which like, so many people do, and they never get out of that loop, it's good just to go blur and just get it out, roll it into the whole track.
Quite a nice drop though.
Yeah, it sounds right.
It's not necessarily the greatest vocal chop, that first one.
Yeah, maybe the pad could change, but it still sounds nice. So definitely more effects and just to fill up this breakdown.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit dry at the
I think we
moment.
should add a little bit of our own vocal pad.
Yeah.
Something like that would do it.
Got a mic.
Yeah.
Maybe some like little spoken word thing.
Technimatic use that a lot. They've got one of the old Genevieve, the old lottery machine with different phrases on it.
Right.
They just pick one and put it in. Makes a tune.
Really?
That's what they told me their secret is. That's about it then.
Yeah.
Just let it wind down.
Yeah, it's the same.
Not really sure about that sort of submotion orchestra synthy thing. Yeah.
Maybe he's in the breakdown.
And there you have it. Straight out the Vanguard factory.
Yeah, another one done. Well, not done. It's probably what?
Probably
It
needs another
hour.
Yeah, it needs another
Another hour, and we'll be
few
able
samples
to
and
finish
things.
it.
But essentially, you know, what we wanted to kind of get across today was the motivation to finish stuff. You know, you can get so bogged down in the technicality of stuff that you never finish it. We've finished a track there that we could now play, that we could use in a set or whatever. It's not perfect, it needs more work, but we can do that. But we've got a finished track. We know so many producers that just kind of get stuck, up and coming people or budding producers that are just so bogged down in everything. I know I'm repeating this, but it's because I think it's so important. They get stuck so much on the technical stuff that, you know, 3-4 years of producing and they've never yet finished a tune. Finish a tune, come back to it, polish it, move on to the next one. The only way you're going to keep getting better and better is just by the discipline, and it is a discipline, to get stuff finished and move on and try again and learn from your mistakes. And if you've got good ideas in an old track, once you've learned some better techniques, you can come back to that old track, implement them techniques and get your project perfect. So that's about it. Well, thanks for watching our tutorial. I hope it's made some kind of sense to you. We've got loads of stuff out right now as the Vanguard project. We've got volumes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 coming soon on Spearhead Records, where you can check out Villem's stuff or Villem and McLeod stuff or my stuff, BCee, mainly through Spearhead Records as well. But yeah, we hope that today watching this tutorial has given you a little bit of confidence to just go out and have a crack at coming up with something, no matter how musical you think you are, how technical you think you are. What we really want you to take away today is just that, you know, give it a go, and you could be superstar DJs like us. See you later.
See ya.